The friendly folks of Norwegia invite you to come experience the Shire and see where the fun begins. Norwegia is nestled on the north bank of the town of Ham. Stroll along our meandering mile-and-a-half trail. While you're at it, wave to the folks relaxing on large front porches or join them with a glass of wine or ale. Our zip code is 35234.
Norwood originated around 1905, and it started in the square blocks between 11th and 13th Avenues and about 26th and 28th or 30th Street, and then it grew.
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful 40 years ago. The people would put flowers all out there in the park, and the homes was beautiful. They kept their homes real pretty.
Neighborhoods, like humans, they go through a maturation stage and a decline stage. Norwood, from inception, and they started building homes there up until really and truly the 1950s and 60s. Your upper middle class whites began to leave the city of Birmingham because of the civil rights strife and integration. And houses were sold to middle class who were able to afford homes, but still did not have the income levels at the time to properly maintain homes. Before desegregation, Norwood was one of Birmingham's really truly great neighborhoods.
Just remember that Norwood was Mountain Brook before there was a Mountain Brook.
We have several significant architecturally appealing homes there that are still sitting vacant.
The people that had houses over here, a lot of them was gotten old, and their children moved them elsewhere. And kids inherit the houses from the elder people, but they wouldn't keep them up. And so it just started deteriorating.
I have a saying that you need to live within the bowl of the city of Birmingham.
There's affordable housing here that could have really nice bones, could be really big, nice houses for some people that's a mile away from downtown.
And when I mentioned to people that I was moving there, they kind of said, you know, have you totally lost your mind?
We didn't have crime, I'll put it like that. We didn't have crime. You didn't hear of crime in Norwood. It was always so nice. I can remember years ago that we could go out our doors and not lock them. You can't do that now.
I think the big struggle is everybody has one perception about the neighborhood, but the perception is not based on fact. And just getting people to spend time here, they kind of change that perception. And you know, one thing happens in certain neighborhoods, and that one thing is repeated over and over again, where that one thing could happen in another neighborhood, and it's just a blip, and people don't make a big deal about it.
We still have a wealth of value in the housing stock that remains over there, even though it has been in decline for so many years. Many of these houses were built well. They've withstood the test of time, and I think, you know, we need to save them before they deteriorate to the point of no return.
Our historic guidelines are much like the national historic guidelines, that they make sure that the structure and the look of the house stay.
We wanted to renovate a really old house, so a friend of ours sort of hooked us up with a Norwood resident to see if we might be interested in the neighborhood, and here we are. And these houses here, a lot of them are just like blank slates waiting, and if you can bring them back to have like original detailing and sort of have their original grandeur, it's great.
The expense of an old house is something I talk to a lot of my friends about all the time, because they're scared that if you have a 100-year-old house, something's always going to be breaking. And the truth of the matter is in any house, something is always going to be breaking, and it's just the cost of home ownership. It's caused us to be a little bit more studious and asking around and talking to other people before we just jump into a project.
We also have assistance on people who can't afford, you know, and giving them ideas on how they can update their house within their budget.
You are positive about your home, and doing things about your home. I feel like eventually it'll catch on. Because my neighbors see me do things to my house and they'll call and they'll start doing things to theirs just because they see that I'm taking pride in my.
I think it's the best thing that can happen, because the more people that get involved and the more people that preserve old houses, the more you'll have. But if you think about the 1980s in Crestwood, that was a very grandmotherly neighborhood, and look at it now. I mean, it's splendid. You know, we can be as better than that even, because this neighborhood started out better than Crestwood.
There are certain ingredients that are essential for a neighborhood to begin the revitalization process. I think first and foremost, you have to have a common vision. A second crucial component is leadership. You have to be organized. You have to have neighborhood leaders and others willing to work on the neighborhood's behalf.
I have a huge fascination for old houses, and just tracking the history of the city and seeing where you came from makes you realize a lot of things about how we got to where we are in the city today. And really building that community feel is really what brings the city back.
Because even from the long distance that we were living when I learned about Norwood, I could read that there was a lot of like really active people here that were like starting community gardens.
We've done a lot of porch parties, we've done a couple of house concerts, we've done a garden party, just different walks and home tours and things like that, just to raise attention. We personally have parties all the time and just get people over here, get to meet our neighbors and let them spend time on our front porch. I tell everybody, after you spend about 30 minutes on our front porch looking at Norwood Boulevard, you're pretty much ready to move in. It's just finding the right house. I haven't lived in a neighborhood since I was a kid where I knew the names of everybody on my street. That perception of neighborhood and community is not something that's known outside of this neighborhood, and as people have figured that out, that's really helped them change their perception.
So if I had to go on TV to sell Norwood, I'd tell them to come on down, because this is the place to be.
I've got one hope, and that hope is for every house to be occupied. There's probably 100 vacant houses, and if I can see those vacant houses occupied, that's my hope.